Alright class, today we are presenting our projects on music theory. You were all assigned a topic and had 3 weeks to make your presentation. This is 50% of your grade.
Dude, I've been too busy playing Marvel Rivals and I didn't work on it at all. I made it in like an hour at 3 a.m. last night.
Yeah, dude, you're kinda screwed.
Nah, don't worry, I'm locked in. He won't pick me and I can just polish it before tomorrow.
I love that sound. My wife left me. Okay, it looks like Casey is presenting first.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, so my presentation today is on Radiohead's album Skit. Start the music. My presentation today is on how Skit by Radiohead isn't that alienating at all. I discovered Radiohead earlier this year, and I absolutely love them. But one album I always never liked was Skit. Until recently, that is, when I got super into it. And I think part of the reason I disliked it for so long is because of my confusion on what the album was supposed to be. I've always heard that it's cold and alienating and that's the point of it. And I never understood that, so I guess I never liked it. It wasn't until I had to draw my own conclusions and experiences from the album that I really understood it. I don't think Skit is alienating or cold at all. In fact, I think it's the opposite. It's deeply human. It's very immersive and it's oddly warm and comforting. So, let's get into it. Number one, the context of the album. I think the biggest reason Skit is labeled as cold and alienating is because, well, it kind of is in context. Radiohead had just come off the height of their career, OK Computer. It revolutionized rock at the time, and the band was hailed as saviors of rock. The world expected them to only go further in the rock direction. So when Radiohead released this weird, electronic, creepy, cynical album, of course it was called alienating. The pure shock of it was enough to create the myth around the album instantly. Now Radiohead was considered edgy, cynical, and depressing. But here's the thing. Skit might be alienating not just on your first listen, but possibly several listens. It's not until, in my experience, you really listen deeply and, more importantly, disregard all the presumptions about the album, that it can be fully understood. And what I have found is that underneath this ugly exterior shell is an achingly human story. Maybe not necessarily a linear one, but one that can be deeply felt emotionally. So while in part it's certainly cynical and detached and cold, it's also in part very human. The album encompasses a whole kaleidoscope of emotions. Number two, it's only half electronic. The album is often seen as Radiohead gone electronic, but that's only half the puzzle. Just like it's only half the puzzle that it's cynical, it's only half the puzzle that it's electronic. Yes, Radiohead certainly took inspiration from the electronic scene, specifically in IDM with artists like Aphex Twin or Boards of Canada, but the way I see it, the album is not about the electronic sound, but about the band abandoning hooks, riffs, and song structures entirely in favor of texture and atmosphere. Songs like Everything in Its Right Place, the title track, Idiotech, etc. are very fuzzy, cold, alien-sounding songs. But they're contrasted with beautifully organic songs like How to Disappear Completely or Motion Picture Soundtrack. In fact, there's just as much guitar as there is synths. Take Optimistic and In Limbo, for example. A sort of song duo, these two are almost shoegaze adjacent. They have guitars, but instead of riffs, it's a layered whirlwind of sound. Especially on In Limbo, where it feels like being trapped underwater. The vocals are buried in the mix and everything has reverb. Number three, the electronic isn't cold. This is where things get pretty subjective, but in my experience, the electronic sounds aren't cold at all. Here's my thinking. The album starts with Everything in Its Right Place, a very cynical and detached intro. Then we have the title track Kid A, which continues that. There's this creepy chord progression and the weird vocal samples chopped and thrown in at random. But towards the end of the song, there's this beautiful lift. You get this wall of synths that sounds so gorgeous, and this specific moment made me realize it's not really alien at all. It's kind of just beautiful and ugly at the same time. And I feel, thanks to Tom York's angelic voice, even songs like Idiotech or Morning Bell that should feel cold don't entirely feel that way. It's a piece of humanity in a cold digital landscape. It's the same reason something like The Eraser by Tom York works so well. Similarly, it has these cold, fuzzy instrumentations, but they feel warm and comforting thanks to Tom's voice. That dissonance is very unique, and it's one of the biggest reasons I feel Kid A is not alien or cold at all. Ironic, in a way, when the band was chasing a sound meant to discomfort you, chasing ugliness, in a way, they still couldn't help but make something beautiful. Number 4, variety of moods. Kid A isn't just depressed and attached, and that's a big thing for me. One of the best things about Radiohead is that they're impossible to pin down. This album is a perfect example of it. It's almost bipolar in quality, constantly oscillating between different feelings and moods. This is actually incredibly accurate to those who suffer with depression. You aren't just constantly sad, your mood is very unstable and you're always going through different feelings. And I feel that's what Kid A exemplifies really well. Because in the album, yes, you do get cynicism and detachment, songs like Everything in Its Right Place in the title track, but it's then contrasted with, the chaotic surge of anger in the national anthem. And then even further, it's torn down in the vulnerability and how to disappear completely. In that way, the album is possibly the most relatable and real interpretation of depression and mental issues translated to sound. As they say, good music should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Number 5, putting it all together. So that's my thinking with this album. As I've said throughout the presentation, it's not just about cold alienation and detachment. It's about the band rejecting their path entirely. They chose atmosphere and texture over rock tradition, which is why the album is so deeply immersive and strangely beautiful. So yes, it is cold and detached, but it's also vulnerable, beautiful, heartbroken, angry, sarcastic, and cynical, all in one. And there isn't really an album quite like it. So yeah, that's my presentation.